Hello. Welcome back once again to Infinite Jeff, the project where I, Jeff, read the book Infinite Jest, one page at a time, one day at a time. Infinite Jest is a book by David Foster Wallace. It was published originally in 1996. It's a big book. It's about a lot of different things, about some kids at tennis school, and it's also about people in rehab, and it's also about some law enforcement agents who are investigating essentially a video that killed somebody. Yeah, I'm curious too, but that shit happened like a year ago because I'm reading this so slowly. But it's an interesting book, at the very least. Got some fun parts to read, some not fun parts to read. Like that Johnny Gentle stuff I did, that was pretty fun. But this is page number 411. Here we go. Finds himself sinking emotionally into a kind of distracted funk. The puppet film is reminiscent enough of the late himself that just about the only more depressing thing to pay attention to or think about would be advertising and the repercussion of Onanite reconfiguration. I'm going to, instead of saying O-N-A-N, because that's how it's spelled in the book, it's O period, N period, A period. I'm just going to say Onan, because it's quicker and it's funnier, because Onan, I don't know, he masturbated or something in the Bible, spilled his seed or something, so I know masturbation is sometimes referred to as onanism, and it's a good way to say it in mixed company, because a lot of people won't know what you're talking about. Reconfiguration for the U.S. advertising industry. Mario's film executes some rather overarty flash cuts between the erection of lucite fortification and ASCME and EWD displacement installations along the new U.S. border on the one hand, and the shadowily implied Rodney Tyne disastrous love interest element with the voluptuous puppet representing the infamous and enigmatic Quebecois femme fatale known publicly only as Luria P. on the other. Tyne's puppet's tiny brown felt hand is on Luria's voluptuously padded little popsicle stick knee in the famous Vienna, Virginia Szechuan Steakhouse, where, according to dark legend, subsidized time was conceived on the back of a chintzy Chinese zodiac paper placemat by R. Tyne. Hal happens to know the fall and rise of millennial U.S. advertising exceptionally well, because one of the only two academic things he'd ever written about anything remotely filmic, footnote 161, was a mammoth research paper on the tangled fates of broadcast television in the American ad industry. This was the final and grade-determining paper in Mr. U. Ogilvy's year-long Intro to Entertainment Studies in May of YPW, and Hal, a 7th grader and only up to R in the condensed OED, wrote about TV advertising's demise with a reverent tone that sounded like the events had taken place at the misty remotes of glaciers and guys in pelts instead of just 4 years prior, more or less overlapping with the waxing of the Gentle era and experialist reconfiguration Mario's puppet show makes fun of. There's no question that the network television industry, meaning since PBS is a whole different kettle, the big three plus the fast-starting but low-endurance Fox, hilarious how that's changed, has already been in serious trouble. Between the exponential proliferation of cable channels, the rise of the total viewer control handheld remotes known historically as zappers, and VCR recording advances that used subtle volume and historical pitch sensors to edit most commercials out of any program taped, here a rather chatty digression on legal battles between networks and VCR manufacturers over the edit function that Mr. O drew a big red yawning skull next to in the margin out of impatience. The networks were having problems drawing the kind of audiences they needed to justify the ad rates their huge overheads slavering maw demanded. The Big Four's arch woe was America's 100-plus regional and national cable networks, which, In the premillennial Limbaugh era of extraordinarily generous Justice Department interpretation of the Sherman statutes, that's the Sherman Antitrust Acts, had coalesced into a fractious but potent trade association under the stewardship of TCI's Malone, TBS's Turner, and a shadowy Albertan figure who owned the view out the simulated window of various lavish homes in exotic locales channel, the Yuletide Fireplace channel, CBC, as in the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. But that, my dear friends and loyal listeners, is the end of page number 411. So you will have to find out, wait till the next installment of Infinite Jeff drops, which would be tomorrow. Not today, tomorrow. But some people, I'm willing to bet nobody's listening to this on the day it's released. So it's probably just the next video in the playlist. So have fun. Although I like to imagine a futuristic scenario where half the internet is destroyed. Infinite Jeff is no more, except, oh wait, 5 random pages, including page 411. What does it mean? What is Infinite Jeff? Who was Jeff? But that probably won't happen. Yeah. It's Easter. It's Easter morning, Easter of 2021. So it's April 4th, 2021. 9:29 a.m. Just had a cup of coffee. Gonna have another cup of coffee. Maybe make some breakfast.